Um, got the text late last night. Was a little bit too late in the evening for my blood. By the time I was alerted to the big trade, the big blockbuster trade that happened between the New York Islanders and the Vancouver Canucks. So you guys know the deal. All right. Islanders get Bo Horvat. Canucks get Bouvier. They get a protected first round pick. I believe it's protected for the top 12. I believe that's what I heard this morning. And then I'm going to call him Atu Ratu. Now, I watched 5 videos. 5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I watched 5 videos about this trade. 3 of them called him Atu Ratu. 2 of them called him Atu Rati. I'm not going to pretend to know. So I'm going to assume that, like a lot of European names, it's not pronounced the way it's spelled. So I'm going to call him Atu Ratu, but then I'm also going to ask in the comments if it's pronounced Atu Ratu, why not just put another U there like they did in his first name? Why is there a Y? Or if it is Atu Rati, why are a bunch of people calling him Ratu? I'm not going to pretend to know either way. This is a learning experience. I want to know what it is and why it is what it is. So, in terms of the deal, now you guys know I run everything through my Florida Panthers filter. Now, when I first saw this, Stu first texted it to me. My first impression, snap judgment, was overpay. Okay, snap judgment. Now I start thinking about it. It's like, well, I mean, we gave up Tippett, who's not Atu, probably not. Okay, Atu's probably a better prospect than Tippett, but we gave up Tippett and a first for Claude Giroux, which we pretty much knew at that point was going to be a rental. So by that comparison, it's not. I think everybody gets something out of this deal. Now, the fact that the first is protected, that helps. That helps in case the Islanders don't make the playoffs. And we're going to get into a little bit of the playoff race later. Well, we all know Bo Horvat, consistently very good, excellent player, right? Bouvier kind of inconsistent. You know, he's had some years with some goals. He's been inconsistent, but he's still a guy that doesn't really hurt you. He can give you some help as well. To me, I think look, we knew Vancouver was moving in a certain direction, right? We knew with the whole Goudreau thing and everything that we knew that they were moving in a direction of, what do you call it? A rebuild, a retool, whatever you want to call it. And we also heard the whispers that Bouvier was likely to get moved. Now, the only problem I have with this deal is this better not win Lou Lamoriello yet another GM of the Year award, okay? And I'm not saying Zito should win it either this year, because no, but it just seems to me like all Lamoriello has to do is just trade anybody for anybody, and the media gushes, and he's the GM of the Year regardless of the outcome. In terms of, Horvat and can he get the Islanders over the hump? To me, it's a little bit of a surprise. I believe they're going to be able to extend him. But in terms of can he get them over the hump, I'm going to talk a little bit later about the Sabres and the Capitals and the Panthers schedule, in terms of those are the 3 teams that I honestly feel like are going to be there in the end. And I realize that the Islanders are there a point ahead of the Panthers, and it illustrates the difference in approaches and the difference in expectations, where Panthers and Islanders have same exact amount of games played. Okay, Islanders are 1 point ahead. Okay, the Islanders are making deals because they will not accept not making the playoffs for a second year in a row, right? The ship may go down, but they are going to go down fighting hard. Okay, so on one end, I can definitely understand and appreciate that. And you look at the Panthers, and I mean, we put all of our eggs into the last season basket. That's where we put them. And moving forward, I don't think we're going to be buyers or sellers, but we're more likely to be sellers than buyers because we have no money. We're bankrupt. Okay. We have everything we get now is financed with first round picks. And our our debt to income ratio is crap. So in terms of this deal, I know that the appropriate thing to say here, right? The thing that everybody is going to look at this and say, oh, for sure, this is going to put the Islanders over the top. This is going to get them in. This might even win them a first round. Again, I'm not so sure about that, but I think that's my point, is that I'm looking at the Islander team, I'm looking at Horvat, and this is more of a long-term thing. This is not a let's just try to get into the playoffs type of deal. Obviously, they want to make it, right? But I think this is more of a long-term health of the roster type of deal. In that sense, it's a bit of an overpay, in my opinion, because you're giving up. All right, so you've given up Bilvier, which some of you may feel like that's not much to lose, but you're giving up a top prospect and another first, but you get Horvat, who's a guaranteed player, as much as a player can be. So long term, I like it. In terms of this season, when you look at the top teams, is this gonna make it so the Islanders can beat a Boston? Probably not. A Tampa? Probably not. The Canes? Probably not. I can think of at least those three teams, and the Rangers might have something to say there too. This is the kind of this gets them to where they could win a round depending on who they play at the front end of things. But this is not a get them a cup this year type of move. It's a big splash, and it's going to pay dividends down the road. But if I was an Islander fan, I would be cautiously optimistic. But forgive me for being just a wee bit jaded after the Panthers did what they did last year. We saw what Giroux and Sherratt and Haig, we saw what bringing all those guys in did for us, which is I am fairly confident we could have squeaked by the Capitals in 6 games without those guys, and we'd still have Owen Tippett and all our first round picks. I'm really, really sure that we could have managed to get swept by the Lightning without those guys, and we'd still have all of our draft capital. So I'm a little bit jaded there. So admittedly, when I see a big trade like this, I kind of look at it side eye. I'm like, yeah, I know how these things work. So admittedly, I'm a little bit jaded there. It's a good deal for the Islanders. Vancouver, I know some Vancouver fans were thinking they could get a little bit more. I mean, the only thing you could really complain about is that pick, the first round pick being protected. But I mean, how far down are the Islanders gonna go either, too? You know what I mean? What else? When you look at what the Islanders had to give, it's just one player. I mean, Bo Horvat's a nice player, but it's not like you're getting, Matthews here. You know what I mean? I think both sides can be happy with what they gave. Maybe they gave a little bit too much. Maybe they didn't get a little bit enough over here. It's about as fair of a deal as you could possibly get. I think long term, it's probably going to be more of a win for the Islanders because they're going to be in a position to where Horvat could possibly be a key piece to a cup run. I just don't think that's going to be an issue this year. But stay tuned. You never know. I'm always wrong about who's going to win the cup. So if you're an Islander fan watching this and you're thinking, why is this guy poo-pooing this? I'm usually wrong. And I also picked the Islanders to win the cup last season, and you made me look bad. So I got a thing about the Islanders and predicting you're going to do good. So usually you guys do the exact opposite of what I say. So you should be happy that I think this is not going to win you a cup this season.